week 2 of Recovery Strategies for Life. This week we are saying hello to reality, but before we can even start to dive into some of that, we have to first make sure we have our first tool, which is really a support system around us before we dive into anything. Isn't that right?
It is, and a support system is so important because that's what gives you the stability to help you if you have a relapse, if you fall down, if you have emotional break apart in the process, that you have other people around you to help lift you back up again, to hold you accountable, to help you out. Very important.
It's so important that we have made that strategy number 4, healthy support system. And we're going to discuss 3 components that go into having a healthy support system.
Yes, like safety.
Yes.
Safe people. Please choose safe people who are going to be available for you and who are going to be trustworthy with the information that you're sharing with them.
And people that can be honest, because you don't want somebody that is going to give you fluff or nonsense or try to make you feel good above what's important for your health and well-being. So making sure that they're safe, they're trustworthy, they're honest, and preferably that they're a follower of Christ that's going to hold you accountable spiritually as well as physically and in your lifestyle.
You definitely want somebody that's going to point you back to God's truth.
All the time, yes. Not just be relying on their own experience or their own opinions. If they continue to point you back to the Bible, continue to point you back to God, you can be sure that you're always setting off on the right foot, getting back to the basics.
And we don't want you doing anything that's going to have to do with a cult type feel where somebody else is wanting to control you, where they want you to come to them to play the role of God in your life. We want you to be with somebody and a group of people who are pointing you consistently back to God, back to the Bible, back to that relationship, instead of them becoming your God. So we always put that as a safeguard because some of us have experienced a little bit of that side of things as not healthy.
Yeah.
And then you have different types of people that are going to be a part of your support system. They might be your counselor or your life coach or a spiritual mentor. Or maybe it's an accountability partner. In some recovery programs, they talk about having a sponsor. There's just several different types of people you can have in your support system.
And many times you need all of those different types.
Right.
In my case, I needed every possible additional support system that I needed because the recovery process was so intense for me.
I definitely needed someone who was ahead of me. So for me, I had a sponsor. I have, over the course of my recovery, had more than one sponsor because I've needed more than one area of recovery, and they happen to have the expertise in those different areas. But I needed someone who had been through what I had been through, experienced it, and then come out even further ahead of me so that I knew that I could sort of walk in their footsteps behind them and they could lead me in the right direction. And then accountability partners, people who are on the road with me, like let's join arms and do this together, were so helpful for the times that I was like, have you seen this? Have you done this? What's going on here? And I can really check in with them on a daily basis.
And then you're also going to want to make sure that your spiritual covering is praying with you and for you along this journey, because prayer really is key.
It makes such a huge difference. And we're also talking about, besides the people that are in your lives, we're wanting to talk about the resources that you have available, because it's not just one piece or a second piece. We're talking about a whole system that you need for your support. And so there are things like hotlines. All of the hotlines, if you're struggling, you get triggered, you have a problem that's intense, to know that there's an 800 number, a toll-free number that you can call where somebody's going to answer that phone and be there for you in that particular type of emergency. So if you're struggling with suicide, that you call a suicide hotline. If you're struggling with whatever the issue is, that you've got someplace that you can call and get a real person there to help you out. And then there are recovery programs, right?
Yeah. Ginny, I think you're familiar with some recovery programs.
Absolutely. I've attended AA meetings. I've attended CODA meetings, which is Codependence Anonymous. And then I've also attended Celebrate Recovery meetings as well. And that's really just been such a blessing for me, especially the Celebrate Recovery, because it is a Christ-based 12-step program. And because I think as well as this program, that 12-step programs are for everyone as well. We all need recovery from this broken world, please. It's not because we are too broken that we go there, but it's just because we need to get off on the right foot. So I have been just blessed to be able to be a leader in that Celebrate Recovery program. And to me, it's just like coming home every single time.
And then you'll also have professionals on your team, which is doctors or counselors. Your pastors can be a part of those professionals that can walk you and guide you, because they're a great resource.
And life coaches.
Yes.
Like
Ginny
Ginny as
Priz.
well. Because finding out that at different stages of our healing process, we need different types of help. So a counselor can help me dig into my past and process and find things out. A coach can help me look at things that are upcoming that are in my way. And I want to get a certain place. I want to be a certain person. I want to feel a certain way. And breaking that down into bite-sized pieces to move forward, a coach can really help me strategize and figure that out. And to have a pastor that can help me, or a ministry leader that can help me understand where truth in the Bible, where that speaks into my journey, is so huge. So it's amazing how between your groups at church, your small groups, your social groups, your just regular life, you can find different people, different positions at different stages that can speak life and really help support you with a healthy support system.
Absolutely.
So then once we have our healthy support system in place, which was strategy number 4, we can then start to look at facing the reality. But we need to know where we're stuck, right?
Yeah.
Because if we don't know where we're stuck, then
We don't get unstuck.
right.
And we want to get unstuck. So one of the things is, do you have recurring hurts? Do you look at places in your life where it's like, oh my goodness, here I go again, is again and again. And anytime you have recurring hurts where it's hurts at work, and no matter what job you have, no matter who you work for, you keep running into these same scenarios. And that's an opportunity to understand, okay, there's something here that, well, is it me that is connecting these pieces? Am I taking my stuff with me job by job?
All right, because wherever you go, there you
are.
are.
That is so true. So if I'm always the one getting hurt, then I might want to look at me and find out what it is that I can do or change so that I'm not the one that's in the middle of that situation. I can't change other people, but I can definitely start doing something about me and changing whose fault it is. Because sometimes, I don't know, Evonna, is it like always somebody else's fault?
I mean, sometimes. No, not at all. For me, I very much place the blame on myself a lot, even with the sexual abuse, that it was my fault. And that's not where the blame needed to be put either. But if you're constantly blaming other people, you might want to look at that as well, because there are places in our life where we need to take our responsibility.
Yeah, but it's so easy. It's so easy just to play the victim, like I did for so many years. It's that person hurt me. They did this to me. I can't believe they're doing that. And it was all about, they did it to me, instead of just seeing that they were doing something and I was separate. And it was just a whole lens that I looked through where I saw how this person hurt me, how this person hurt me, and I just saw that. So not sometimes that situation of, oh, I'm getting hurt here, I'm getting hurt here. It's not a new hurt, it's an old hurt that we feel, where it's, this one scenario just keeps coming up. This one hurt keeps coming up in my mind. Things remind me of this one thing in my mind, and it's something that I keep holding on to because I can't figure it out. Those are places where we can really start to say, okay, maybe I need to look at this with a new lens and look at it through reality rather than just this idea of I'm the hurt one here all the time.
And they say that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Yeah.
So if you've been on that circle or cycle of insanity, we have to make the decision to change and face the reality.
And that's strategy number 5, is make changes to face reality.
Yeah.
Because we want to actually change our future. The past obviously is what it is. We can't go back and change it, and we can't change other people. But if we sit there and actually start making changes in our own lives, it's amazing how it changes the circumstances around us, too. There's this ripple effect that ends up happening. And that makes me really happy because I have been able to take charge and change things and grow and heal. And that has actually helped a lot of people around me start making choices in their own lives that has affected how we interact, how my world is, and I'm not in that spin cycle of craziness that I felt like I was in for so long.
So we don't have to stay stuck at all.
No, we don't have to stay stuck, and that is absolutely amazing. But first, we have to actually get out of denial, right?
Oh yeah,
Is that more than a river in Egypt?
It's definitely more than a river in Egypt. Denial is real. It is a thing, and unfortunately, we do have to work and actively work to say, okay, I'm ready to dig in, and let's see what this actually is. Because when we are staying in that denial, we talked about if some of the things that kind of can bring us to awareness that we're in denial is if you are overreacting to a situation when everyone around you is saying, why are you so freaked out about this? they're super calm and you're totally worked up. Yeah, that was a big clue to me that maybe this is an area that I haven't worked something through. And it really does separate me from the people around me, but then it also tends to separate me from my connection with God as well when I'm unwilling to work on that.
And then it also disables our feelings. So we continue to feel stuck, but we're stuffing it, and that can cause physical damage. I had a lot of thyroid issues and just a lot of health-related issues related to me stuffing all of my emotions. One being a heart condition, which was not favorable at all. You need that thing to beat in there, and you need it to beat at a good, consistent pace. Mine was really low. And then when I had the panic attacks and anxiety, it would spike.
Yeah, and that can end up causing you all kinds of other issues. And it's harder to have a healthy, happy, resilient attitude when you've got heart problems or other health issues that are interfering. And so when we're realizing that denial separates us from God, it separates us from each other, because it's hard to have a real authentic relationship when I'm not admitting to myself.
Right.
So when I'm disconnected from myself, I'm disconnected from pretty much everybody around me. And for me, when I started being real with myself, it made such a difference in, you could actually get to know me. Where when I was keeping a wall of denial up, how are you going to be my friend? There was no way to really get to know me, and it made it difficult for me to connect with other people. So it's amazing that we get a chance to change that.
Right.
Like, we're not stuck there. We can actually change something about it.
And denial keeps us from being vulnerable with each other.
Oh yeah.
You talk about putting the wall up, and it's really hard to be vulnerable and be real with our friends, our coworkers, whoever we're around, if we're stuck in that denial. I personally did not want to come out of denial in some areas. It was much better if I just left it back there in the past and act like if it didn't exist.
Oh yeah, that's an excuse I think I've heard so many times but it happened way back in the past. Why dig up the past? What's the point? Then you're just stirring everything up. But if you're not stirring it up, then you can't heal from it. And again, it has all these things, but it one of the other things for me, especially as a chemically addicted person, was it kept me stuck and I could not grow up. So emotionally, I was stunted in this place of, I can't actually deal with this, so I'm gonna run away. So when I stopped using those chemicals to numb out, I had to face the fact that I was still at the age that I was when I really started using the chemicals to numb out. I hadn't allowed myself to grow up. So that, again, stunted my relationships around me.
And I also realized that with denial, it's so much like not admitting you have a cancer diagnosis. So you don't have surgery, you don't get chemo, you don't do the things to heal your body because, well, surgery hurts a lot, and chemotherapy makes you really, really sick and miserable. And when we are not dealing with our own emotional damage, then we're saying, oh, well, it's not going to kill us. It's going to be fine. It's not a problem. Kind of like saying, oh, I'm not going to listen to the doctor about having cancer, except that it can kill me. And being in denial about cancer doesn't make it go away, and you don't live longer. It actually can kill you. And so many of these things with the emotional damage, it puts you on a path that can destroy piece by piece by piece. And eventually, for some people, it really does kill them. And so we're wanting to recognize how serious some of that damage is. In my life, it did just about kill me when I was 34. And I had played that denial stuff, it shut it all down. Trying to put a good face on. Most people had no idea what I was dealing with because they never got to know me, because there was that breach in relationship. But when I finally hit that place where there was no more, it was over. It really was done for me. And that was when I started being real about it. Then I had the opportunity to start healing and growing and changing. And I am so much happier today.
Yeah, and everything is connected, right?
Yes.
Like we've been saying, that the emotional wounds that we experience are also going to be spiritual wounds, and that's going to damage our physical bodies as well. For me, at 22, I was diagnosed with high blood pressure. 22.
At 22?
Who does that?
Wow.
Stuffing might have had something to do with that. The alcohol might have had something to do with that too, but I was on high blood pressure medication from the time I was 22 until I was 30. And that for me was not even a wake-up call of, oh, maybe there's some, I really just thought, oh, it's my body. There's something wrong with my body. But what happened when I was 30 was that I got into recovery and I started dealing with my emotions and feeling them as they came up. So my body didn't have to try and have it seep out some other way anymore. I was actually being healthy with it.
Well, I think we just talked about healthy support system.
Right.
Yeah.
There are times in my life that I didn't realize I was actually in the denial.
Right.
Because it's all I ever knew. And if this is how it's been my entire life, then how do I know that I need to change? Well, part of those questions we asked earlier is, where did I feel stuck and why wasn't things changing? But it took counselors, it took pastors, it took accountability, it took sponsors.